I've been listening and being patient and writing down the mission and vision as it has been revealed to me. And I used to be like terrified about stuff like that because I'm like, how do I plan anything? But now I know that walking on water is the best kind of walking.
Hey Queens, yeah, you know who you are. God, come on. Go ahead and put that crown on your head. Now tilt a little to the left, now a little to the right. Perfect. Now let's get to work, because we know you got big goals, and you got big dreams and not afraid to let them know. Why? Because you step into your purpose. You speak out on your faith, and you shift up in your journey, because you a boss. Welcome to the podcast, Drop the Expiring Act with your host, Veli of QueenBayGoals.com, reminding you that you are a queen before anything else. It's your life and your goals. Make it royal. All right, y'all. Go ahead and work that crown. Hey Queen Bays, welcome to another episode of the Drop This Inspiring Act podcast. Today we have with us Felicia Dilbert, and you know we're continuing with the theme for the season, which is don't give two F's. And we're talking about fair and failure, guys. So, don't take it anyplace else. So Felicia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. So can you tell us about yourself and your business? Because I love the name, Beautiful Healing. I love that. So tell us about yourself and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am a Southern girl, born and raised in Georgia. So one time for the Georgia Peaches. And I'm the oldest of four, raised in a two-parent home. And I still have my Southern raising elements, I guess you could say, just coming from just down South, down home girl. And I loved to read a lot when I was little. We lived in a little town called Pelham, and I think we had 5 stoplights. They probably maybe have 10 now, but just to give you an idea of how small this place is. So the library was definitely my friend, and all things, creative. I love Babysitter's Club. I definitely remember reading a lot. So that is so special to me because in the last year, I published 2 books. I went through BFF Publishing, a wonderful young lady, by Antoinette Mutcherson is the publisher. And the name of the books, one is called The Beautiful Healing Journal, and the other one is called Beautiful Healing, Volume 1, 7 Love Letters for the Truth Seeker's Soul.
Oh, I love that.
And all that came in a dream. I received the 2 words, beautiful healing, one morning back in 2007. It's like I woke up and I had those words on my mind. Well, the night prior, I was working at Bobbi Brown Cosmetics as a makeup artist. And something happened that usually I dread, which is the 8:30 customer. Because we close at 9 and this lady was, I'd already cleaned all the brushes, okay? So, but I could tell she was just special. So I let all that go, all the vibes of any assumptions, like she's not going to buy anything, and did my very best on her and just enjoyed talking with her. And I have a strong prophetic gift. So when I look into women's eyes, generally the Lord starts to speak to me about them. And I just felt such sadness and such like worthlessness. And so I continued to do her makeup. And around that time, I had begun to feel that there was more to this beauty that God has for me to do here on this earth than just actual makeup. But I didn't have all the clues yet, but I was definitely there in my mind of I've got to move on to something else that involves more inner beauty education. So she had a ball and she was like, I want everything you just put on my face. I'm buying it all. And she was totally in that euphoric place, of yes, I feel like a baby doll,
Oh yeah.
And so I got everything for her. It was a great sale for me. Lavelle, I mean, probably $700 worth of stuff.
Oh wow.
And so in sales world, that's like a great jump. But I wasn't in it for that work for that, but I knew that meant okay, that's a good thing. My manager will be happy.
Yeah.
But as I was bringing everything up, putting it in the bags for her to take home, she said, "I wish you could come home with me and do my makeup tomorrow." And I said, a lot of people say that about the artist. Thank you for your compliments, all that. And then she just looked at me and she said, because tomorrow my life is still going to be a train wreck.
Wow.
And I was like, oh. And so I wasn't really a praying woman. I wasn't as connected to my faith as I am now, but I felt a burden for her. And meaning I didn't go home and pray and labor, it was just on my mind. And I thought about it before I went to sleep. And I did pray for her. But like I said, I was not like, I work, my business is faith-based and everything that I do is faith-based. And then I was not sure, but when I woke up that next morning, beautiful healing, I knew to write that down.
Right.
So, and that was in 2007. So really and truly, I've been listening and being patient and writing down the mission and vision as it has been revealed to me. Mm-hmm. And I used to be like terrified about stuff like that because I'm like, how do I plan anything? But now I know that walking on water is the best kind of walking. So I'm excited about what God is doing, and I'm not supposed to be doing anything else yet. For years, I did other things and just going through the motions. I got a corporate job, making 40 grand. Okay, I'm doing it. And bored out of my mind. And I'm not, people are created for different types of work environments and different, I'm very creative. So the desk jobs didn't work out so good, but I got a lot of clarity, interestingly enough, during a tragic time in my life in 2016, toward, I think, it was October 2016. My mom, who's like my best friend, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and only told that she had like 6 months to live. So I was like, first, mom was it was just shocking for all of us, especially mom. And the next 6 months, absolute nightmare. So as I was going through all of the grief and there's a term called anticipatory grief that I'd never heard of, but that's when someone's going to pass away and you start dealing with it in different ways.
Well, you mean, because I never heard of that. Yeah,
I had never heard of it either. But during all of that, I saw God in ways that I'm gonna say it this way. I saw God moving and providing and sending angels through people that would just pick up the phone and call. And some were not even godly folks, but every time they reached out to me, I was having a crisis. And so like I was alone going back home from the cancer center. And so I've helped mom get situated and I've been strong for her. Mm-hmm. And I'm back in the car and I'm weak, and I kid you not, there were so many, hey, Felicia, you were just on my mind. Can I pray for you? Right. And they don't know I'm like about to have a panic attack and I just stopped beside the road. And like before I answered the phone, I'm over here trying to breathe. And so that experience taught me, going through something like that, praying like I was praying, I had no resistance. So I see it as pride. There was no, who that calling me? I'm not answering now, or I know she ain't calling right now. Why is she calling my phone? Not all that petty stuff. I was like, hello, every time. And down to the point where I I had been thinking about how mom was getting closer and closer to the end. And she was still lucid and talking and everything, but I knew it wasn't going to be long. And all of us knew that. And she was telling me different things to help my siblings with, and I'm the oldest. So God, and something my grandmother used to say, twice a child, once an adult. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I really felt like she was my baby, you know, and it changed. I talk a lot about this in the volume 1 book. And that was the way that I didn't realize that all this writing was going to become something. And the confidence came when this happened. So I'm in the car. I think it was the day or definitely in that same week when we went to the doctor. And the doctor said, I say 2 months, you know, and I mean, and he said, I know cancer. I know it doesn't seem like it, but 2 months. Oh God. So I was in the car, and I was in my car a lot, just going to get stuff, going to do stuff. And I remember thinking at a stoplight, Lord Jesus, how am I going to prepare to live without my mama? You know, I mean, can you send me a sign? I mean, I was definitely feeling sarcastic and angry. And then light turns green, go. So the next day, someone that I work with, a former coworker I worked with at the time, she calls me up and says, hey, can I take you to lunch? And so I'm like, I was headed to go home and take some Tylenol PM. It was 2 p.m. I didn't want to be bothered, but I went. Like, I'm thinking I really want to be, I was about to go, but I'm driving over to meet her. And so glad I did, because God used her to ask me some questions about the cancer, and I didn't really want to talk about it. But she ended up sharing with me when I told her what type of cancer. It was small cell lung cancer. She told me that her mother died of the same type of cancer 10 years prior. And so I'm like, okay. And then she looks at me and says, can I tell you how to prepare for her last days?
Look at God. Oh, girl, you're giving me chills.
Right? So I'm like, and real talk, I look back over all the different types of people. I'm not a diva or anything, but I'm not the kind of person that's always picking up my phone and, you know, I get busy, I got stuff to do. But in that season, I was hungry. I was thirsty. I was like, I need you, Jesus. And I never realized he would show his face to me through other people and providing in the moment. Who knew I couldn't get out of the bed that day? Who knew I could, you know, I pick up the phone and it's a friend I had talked to a long time. And she says, I just really want you to listen to Tasha Cobb's Fill Me Up on repeat, Felicia, on repeat. I'm in the bed. I could not get up. Listen to that song a few times. So after my mother went on to be with the Lord, I had a lot of time, and my priorities had shifted because I wasn't motivated to do some of the things I was doing before grieving. But writing has always been a comfort to me. Now, I hadn't written it, I don't know when, like consistently, but since she has gotten ill, it was just like medicine for me. I don't know. I just found the time to write. I had a motivation like never before, as if I was going to get something from this writing that it was just natural, just like drinking water. And so, so then I realized one morning, I can't keep this to myself. All these testimonies, all this, I just kept remembering all these vivid things that happen, and generally in the mornings, that's when I get heavenly downloads. And one morning I woke up and knew I needed to write it down. 7 love letters for the truth seeker soul. So I'm like, that's pretty. But I never thought, that's going to be a book. I was just like, that's pretty, and so I wrote it down and probably drew a little flower. That's one of the things I do, not even thinking about. Yeah, I just always do a little flower, probably did that and probably just went on, with my morning. But then volume 1, wrote that down, later that day. And I knew that I needed to, I was going to be writing a book. It's like, I just felt like, okay. So when I tell you everything has come together in such a way, truly, it's miraculous. The way I've seen the Lord provide, and in writing the books, I struggled with anxiety and depression for most of my life, debilitating anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
I would be in my room for hours. I would be quiet all the time. I would be withdrawn. And my mom was the only one that could bring me sunshine. You know, she was just precious. And so she used to tell me, you're going to be great. I mean, you already are, and I love you, but you have a future so bright, and you're going to do this. You're going to speak, and you're going to be interviewed, and you're going to be happy. You're going to talk, and you're going to be free, and the world can see your smile. I mean, you know, just beautiful things. But that never happened in its fullest capacity while she was alive. And so I realized that she knew it was going to happen, but she didn't have to be here to witness. She already knew. My father gets to witness, and God did something great in that, because we weren't close for most of my life. And so I feel like the Lord is just tying bows on all these gifts, and my mom is blowing kisses on them as they come down, you know? And so, so anywho, it wasn't easy writing a book. I have also dealt with ADHD. I don't really care for diagnosis, all the names, but it's real, you know? So, so that was tough to deal with, and actually like writing things down and focusing, and okay, where did I leave off? Okay, let me get back. And I just saw the Lord meet me, you know, and just bless me. You know, don't beat yourself up. It wasn't a great word day to day, but hey, but I felt just like I was just getting lost in the love of Christ. And I was canceling coffee with friends. It's pre-COVID. So all the things, I was just in my room writing, you know, husband come home, still writing, you know, and he was like, okay, I thought I was the busy one. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh girl. And I'm like, listen to this paragraph. And that would end up being like an hour later. And my husband's like,
I love it.
Trying to like stay awake.
I love it.
But yeah, it's beautiful. I can't take credit for any of it. I take credit for being obedient, but everything has come onto me. And I am so grateful that I no longer have that pride or that second thought, who's going to care?
Right.
I just write it down. That isn't my business.
No, that's
great.
I love that you shared that. And I love that you shared your story. And I know I was supposed to talk to you because my word for 2021 is patience. And I'm like, what are you trying to tell me to do? And then I know he's trying to tell me to slow down because I'm just doing the most. And listening to your story is like, okay, I get it. I got to stop and just wait for you to tell me what it is that you want me to do. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I offer life coaching. If you ever want to connect and talk through some things, I am grateful that I get to live this life and experience it on the other side of being victorious with dealing with pain and trauma and anxiety and all that stuff. Now I know who I am in Christ. I know my true worth, and I want to spread that to the whole world and let other women know that you are not anything this world tells you that you are. You know, your true worth, what's written in the word by the Lord Almighty.
I love that. I love that. So in your story, when I looked at the intake form, you said you were aspiring for 10 years before you said, I'm going to drop the act and I'm going to be the author of my life. And then you said, you know, some of the things that you were fearing were like, who's going to read my book? Like, I don't have a publisher. Like, tell us about those fears that you were going through and like how you made it to the other side. Because I know people are like, it's some people are going to be like, well, it's not all miraculous because we have some fears that we got to get through.
Still, real talk. Yeah.
So
yeah.
no,
for real. That. Absolutely. Yes. thank you for saying that, because I had to, in those real moments, like, well, actually, I was looking for a publisher, and mutual friend introduced me to Antoinette Mutcherson, African-American publisher, awesome young lady. And I knew when we talked that she was supposed to publish it. That's another thing. I've always been a praying person. I learned that from my grandma. So praying is by default, you know, even when I wasn't that close with God. So, and he continued to speak to me. Even when I wasn't as close, I didn't hear from him in the years of depression. And I knew I was sick because I always heard from God. And so I'll just take a moment to just plug that medicine is not the devil. It is not a sin to do what you need to do to be your best self. If I didn't embrace my full treatment plan, because I tried to do a bunch of stuff by myself, didn't work. Meaning I'll just exercise, I'll drink a lot of water, still depressed. Okay, so I no longer am embarrassed. I'm no longer embarrassed. I want people to live. And then the lights came on for me. Mm-hmm. I could see so clearly. I'm too happy to cry. Let's live, you know? But yes, so yeah, real talk. I was trying to figure out, I was so nervous about if there was going to be payment. I knew I was going to need to pay a professional. I knew that. I never have had that problem, as in I don't want to pay. It was how, because, you know, and so I actually talked with her and presented a proposal of offering life coaching for 50% of the price. And I was nervous about that because boundaries are important, mm-hmm. and I didn't want to be weird. But at the same time, I knew that was what I was supposed to do, because how am I going to achieve this? That's a viable, you know, it makes sense, even though I was kind of like doubting myself. And it worked out beautifully. It worked out beautifully. And she said, yep. And we made our agreements, and we both stuck to what we agreed upon, and worked out beautifully. And so that was encouraging, but having to be strict with myself about what I was making. I was still working full time around that time. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then as January came around, 2018, I'm trying to remember. There was a whole nother year before. And January 4th of 2019, that's when I left working full time. But, you know, I can't, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up with the dates, but okay. That was real though, paying the rest of that. Okay, so I had to makeup and stuff. I love that. I wasn't going to the mall like I usually do, and I wasn't missing it. I was like, listen, okay, let me get, maybe share this with a few folks. Maybe they want some coaching. Maybe like I was motivated, and to see just how do I just meet this awesome woman that's open to the coaching. And I was kind of insecure a bit with a couple of techniques and a few things, but I learned that's not I don't have to be like the world. You know, what's for me, the way I do things is for a reason. So, and she was grateful. It was all good. And I'm like, praise God, you know? And so, not that it wouldn't be good, but some folks need different things, and that can interrupt the flow of progress. And like I said, you know, I've learned how to be organized. I am not the most organized person, but it worked out beautifully. So once I knew that I could do that, like I can meet these payments, which I did meet all of them, even if I really wanted to, I could really use a couple $100 for myself. I did it gladly, you know, and I knew I was serious. I knew something was changing in me, because it was never, you know, it was like, I do this. When I do that, yes, I've made progress. I was so happy. But yeah, website.
And that's like a mindset shift.
Yeah, right. I knew I needed a website, and I've been praying about it. I was struggling I had hired some awesome women of God. I'm so glad that the funds went to them, They're incredible people, but we didn't make a ton of progress with their website. And so I was just like, oh, this ain't coming together, Lord. What? Went through another 6 months with another relationship, professional relationship didn't work. So I'm like, Lord. And by then I've got a site up that's not reflective of the brand, but I invested money in it. So I was at that point where you're going to stay up, even though you need to be down. And
the people have to find you.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm like, I just don't know what to do. It was so frustrating. But young lady by the name of Amoy Blocker, she's a student at Florida State University, and she did all of the illustration for the book. And she's just so mad creative. I mean, and we worked great together. It's like I would go off whenever I taught, when we were together, she would sketch up. It's like God started talking to her, and she came up with these beautiful things. So I'm like, I'm gonna ask Amoy, this is crazy. So we sit down and she's like, right. And she always calls me Miss. I think that's so funny, so old fashioned. But she was like, Miss, I hear what you're saying, but that's not gonna work. She always knew, like, not, I think that's not gonna work, Miss. Let me do this. And I love that. She knew what she was, yeah. And she knew what she was doing. So I'm like, hey, tell me, honey, I don't mind, because save me from more headache. But in a nutshell, she created the most beautiful website, and it feels exactly how I described it. I didn't know what it looked like, but she brought that to life. It is beautiful. And one of my clients told me she goes on there and just kind of looks around. It feels like a cup of coffee to her. Oh, wow. And I'm like, that's amazing. So yeah, but Amoy, I mean, so talented. And the way we met was through the publisher. And I had been looking for, it's like, seriously though, real talk, like God led me to Tony, and she was referred into my life. And with Tony came Amoy. And as I began to get more information about this book, I started to see things. Like I see a leaf and and those different things are all throughout the book. And Amoy could just do it, And so, so beautiful. She's so talented. She did all the illustration in the book, volume 1. And so anywho.
So tell the audience, what's the website? Where can we find you on the internet, your socials? Yes. Tell us all of it.
Absolutely. Okay. So the website is www.beautifulhealing.life. Okay. And I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, it needs to be .life. We're going with .life. Okay. We're speaking life. So, right. And on social media, on Instagram, it's at Felicia Dilbert. And then I have one for the books at Beautiful Healing Books. Both of those are also on the website. So website again is www.beautifulhealing.life. And I have Twitter as well. I don't go out there a ton, but it's a thing. It's out there. It's updated. Okay. And it's at BHDOT Life. So at BHDOTLIFE.
All right, you guys. So I'm going to give y'all a hookup. You don't have to remember it. I'm going to put the links like right below this episode so you guys can click on it and go find it. Because when I saw it, I told her when I saw it, I'm like, Proverbs 32 woman, she's in. Like, I didn't even need to read anything else. I didn't even need to read anything else, you guys. So make sure you go check out our website. So we always close the podcast with a quote, and the guests are given a quote. And yours was, embrace your worth. So tell us what that means to you. How do you live your life by embrace your worth?
Absolutely. The last letter is called embrace your path, but that's the same. It's one and the same, because you got to know that you're worthy to walk your path.
Oh, I love that.
And yes. And so, and I ended with this beautiful mantra that the Lord gave me one morning. And it's just embracing your worth, not apologizing for your worth, embracing your worth, not denying your worth, embracing your worth, not shying away from it, but welcoming your worth. That is in understanding it's not a bad thing for a light to shine from within you. It's a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing to show up and people look, and it's a God thing. We created in the image of our Father. And so that it took me a long time to be okay with, it's okay if people compliment me on my makeup or whatever, and maybe they don't compliment whoever I'm with. That's not a big problem. I don't have to feel bad or shrink. It's okay, you know? And the things that I used to really feel so just bad about, you know, like people stopping or just different things, that I realize now that's how God made me. You know, it's not I just believe that a woman that knows her worth lives her life a lot differently, makes choices a lot differently than a woman that does not know her worth. I learned today that I think it was Gabriel, the angel Gabriel,
mm-hmm.
that came to Mary, and Mary had favor, and it says that I had favor with God. She says that, but she was also a virgin, and there is a special blessing and anointing for those that are obedient. So she had been waiting, and, you know, and the angel, he was like one of the head angels, I think an archangel.
Mm-hmm.
They have different rank, but the Lord sent her. She didn't know her worth, yet she knew she was called by God. She knew that much. She was just so humble. She didn't know, I'm gonna have God, you know, and what a precious way that she was so worthy and so special, yet she probably didn't know that or live that or think that. And she was the mother of Christ, you know? So worthiness is most beautiful when women know who defines it, and that's the Lord Jesus in the Word, not the world.
All right, you guys. So before I start crying on the rest of this podcast, we're going to end it with those 3 words. Embrace your worth. You have been listening to another episode of Drop the Aspiring Act. If you're looking for more information on this podcast and other episodes, please visit queenbaegoals.com. That's QueenBaeGoals.com. All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next podcast.